We're going to go ahead and get rolling. What I'll do, I'm going to share my screen. I'd like to keep it as interactive as possible. So if any thoughts come up, maybe try to save them. I'm going to give a couple spots throughout the webinar that you can ask any questions. I'd like for you guys to be able to take away as much as possible. I'm not going to claim to be the wizard in all things Google Ads, but I tried to cover off a bunch of little things that are great and important. All right, let's go ahead and share my screen and we're going to kick this off. And of course, now I can't find the share button. There it is. Alrighty, share. Let's go with desktop 2. Can I just get a thumbs up if you can see my screen, just to make sure that I'm good to go? Okay, super. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat box here as well. I did not have that open. Nope, right on. Welcome to our webinar this month, how to maximize your lead flow with Google Ads. First of all, I want to just congratulate you for being here. There are hundreds and thousands of shop owners that they are so busy working in the shop that they never take time to work on the shop. So congratulations for being here. You could be doing a lot of other things today, but you're here just to learn and see what you can take away. It's awesome to see shop owners that are proactively working on their shops and trying to get better at what they do. All right, let's go to the next slide. What we're going to cover today. So a little bit of what we're going to cover today. Like I said, I am not going to claim to be the Google Ads wizard. Google Ads is constantly changing. There are people out there that are much smarter than I am. I've got people around me that are much smarter than I am in Google Ads, but I'm going to give you some really cool things that you can take away today and try to make sure they're implemented in your business or with whoever's taking care of your marketing. We're going to cover off like why Google Ads is part of the puzzle to building a solid lead flow for your body shop, some Google Ads strategies that are working best in today's market, how to set up and structure your Google Ads to try to obviously keep your cost per lead as low as possible for a maximum ROI. And then also talking about tracking and landing pages, campaign structure. So a little bit about who I am and potentially why you should listen to me. So just a little bit about me. I grew up in the auto body industry. My dad started an auto body shop back in the 80s on the west coast of Canada. And I grew up around it, ended up working in the shop, managing the shop for quite a number of years, and decided to move on in 2021 and got into sales and marketing, founded Body Shop Marketing in 2023. So we've been around for almost going on 2 years now. Another thing that I did was I wrote a book, The Complete Guide to Internet Marketing for Auto Body Shops. If any of you would like it, just let me know in the chat and I'd be happy to mail you a copy. I've got a box of copies here beside me. I've just got them printed not that long ago, so happy to send them out to anybody that's interested in it. Also, involved in a couple associations, Okaba is one of them, CCA. So I'm getting around speaking at different events. We're also a member of the SCRS. So I'll make a plug for SCRS. If your shops aren't a part of the SCRS, go join SCRS, a great organization that's helping to better our industry. So that's my little plug for SCRS. They did not pay me to say that, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And we are now serving shops from coast to coast all across the United States, helping them to build marketing strategies that are growing their shops. All right, let's move on to, I think I jumped a couple slides there. All right. First of all, before we dive into the Google Ads, I'd like to talk a little bit about the bigger picture, because I feel like Google Ads and paid marketing is a part of the picture. It is not the only piece to the puzzle. So here I've got kind of 9 steps to increasing your sales by getting your online marketing right. I would say if you master all 9 of these, you will have a very efficient online marketing strategy for your shop. So first of all, we have the driving leads. So that's around like your organic search optimization, your Google Ads, which is your paid part of your paid strategy, using your database that you have already to help drive some new traffic through that, maximizing your conversions, which is through your website, your reputation management, your automations that you can set up to be sending out, let's say, text messages to your clients, emails, those kinds of things, and then optimizing your results. So that's managing your ad budget, your budget. I'm sorry, not just your ad budget, but your marketing budget, and really dialing in your average cost per lead. So actually figuring out like, what is it costing me to generate these leads and tracking that. So many shops across the country are not doing this. They're just spending marketing dollars, but they don't actually know what the leads are costing them. Is it costing them $20? Is it costing them $100 per lead? And then, of course, then you can start dialing in your return on investment when you're tracking it so well. So that's part of our accelerated growth roadmap. Here's another little visual to look at that in another direction is like, number one, we build the website, the organic base of your local search using, then you can use our, we call auto boost. Basically, that's like your online presence management. There's what we call our auto link, which is your reputation management. Auto captures using geofencing. Auto click is the Google Ads, paid marketing, and social media marketing as well. So like I was saying before, I feel like Google Ads is part of the puzzle. And here I have another visual to try to explain it, is you definitely want to start out with your online marketing strategy. You want to have a strong organic foundation. And what I mean by organic foundation is when people are searching for collision repair shops, for auto body shops online, can they find you? Is your Google business profile optimized and being leveraged to its maximum? Is your website doing its job? Those are two of the main key pillars of making sure your organic foundation is strong. And then Google Ads is a good supplement to that. And then also at the very top is maybe you can leverage some other search ads like Bing ads or potentially Facebook ads to help drive some more of those leads into the shop. All right, let's just briefly, I'm sure you guys all know this, but let's just briefly look at this here of what is a Google ad. So basically, I just took some screenshots of searches I did on my phone because the majority of people that are looking for your shop are doing this on their phone. They're not doing it on their desktop. There are some searching on your desktop on their desktops, but the majority of these are mobile searches. So I did a few searches and I put red boxes around the sponsored or the paid portions. So you can see here, anytime it says sponsored, so I don't know if you can see the little green, my cursor, where it says sponsored, that means somebody paid. So this shop here in Denver, Colorado, they paid to be in that position and get in front of me. They were not doing that organically. If we go to the middle graph, middle picture, in collision dock in San Diego, apparently I searched like collision shops in San Diego, and they paid to be in that spot. And then Body Shop Express, West Coast Auto Body, M&M, those are the organic results that it pulled up when I did that search. Over here, I don't even know what I searched because all of those were sponsored. So as you can see, we got a whole list of sponsored that came up, trying to be that top person and get in front of me and get me to make that phone call or click into the ad and request an estimate. So that is what a Google ad is. I should have maybe also shown, I didn't think about this until right now. If you go back to that middle picture here in the map, what will typically happen, this won't always happen, but will typically show up is if the shop is as a square rather than a circle, that will be an ad as well. That means they are running a Google ad at that point. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like I jumped a couple slides again by mistake. All right, there we are. Let's go back to that one. Just a little bit more on why Google Ads should be a part of your internet marketing strategy. One of the things is it can help you start showing up quickly. So let's say your shop is ranking poorly organically. You haven't spent a lot of time or money to get into a good position on a local search optimization. You can start by running some Google Ads. That can help you to get into that position in that sponsored spot, get you up there ranking quicker. Now, don't confuse that with it will not help your local search optimization. So running Google Ads does not help your local search optimization. Those are two different things. Let's not get those confused. It can also help you to show up as often as possible where your customers are looking. It can help you to show up for those non-geo modified terms like auto body, body repair shop, so forth. And depending where your shop is, there's unlimited scalability. Now, if you're a really rural shop, that unlimited is probably not true. Let's say you have a base of 30,000 people that you can reach, or maybe it's 10,000 people, definitely not unlimited. Let's say you're in more of a metroplex like Boise. Let's say Rick, he's, I think, on the south side of Boise, for instance. If he decides there are some high-end communities that he wants to reach, but his local search optimization isn't getting him there, he could potentially run some really targeted ads for those, specifically for those communities. And I think I've got a graphic here next to illustrate that. Here is a county in Minnesota. Just basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to illustrate this point that I was trying to make, to reach communities that you couldn't reach with your local search. So let's say you had a shop here in Buffalo and your local search, maybe you really worked hard on it. Your Google business profile, your website was ranking really well. You had covered off, let's say, 10 miles around you. You were ranking really high. You were number one, number two around you. But that wouldn't get you to Rockford. It wouldn't get you to Albertville, Monticello, those different places that I circled in red. So Google Ads is a good option here to help push you out to those. You could start running Google Ads in those communities that you're not reaching with your local search. And this next slide, I have the same graphic on it. And I guess what I wanted to emphasize here is that you could target it really by keywords. And we're going to talk about this more later, but you really want to make sure that your keywords are dialed in when you're doing these, running your Google ad campaigns. So those were a couple pros about Google Ads. Now I want to really, I'm not going to dive deep into this, but I want you to walk away from this and remember that anytime we're running Google Ads, if you have a Google ad campaign running, you are the gold that Google is digging for. You are Google's revenue. You are not their customer. And I'm almost going to sound cynical here, probably a little bit, but I just really want you to understand that when Google calls you and their advisors are telling you need to spend more money or you need to do this or that, I would highly recommend you don't necessarily follow what they're saying, not because they're bad people, but because typically they are not necessarily looking out for your best interest. They are doing what's best for Google. So I would say be very skeptical of any advice that Google gives you, and any recommendations they make to you are typically not necessarily exactly what you want to do. So that is the con side of Google Ads, is that you have to really manage it well and you have to be very careful with it because you are the gold that Google is looking for. I hope I made myself clear there that you really want to manage these correctly or they could burn you big time. I know I was talking to a shop a couple months ago and it was a small shop, a really small shop. And he was spending around $5,000 a month on Google Ads and he had no idea where that money was going. And he showed me inside of his Google account, his Google ad account. I couldn't believe it. I told him, you got to shut that off and get some tracking set up. I don't know if he listened to me. He is not a client of ours. So I have no idea if he listened to me. But anyways, I think I belabored that point long enough now. I'll carry on now. All right. I'm just really having trouble with these slides going the right direction. Here is a keyword list that I put together. And
I'm not sure.
don't worry, you don't necessarily need to try to copy all of these down. I have a On the next slide, I've got a QR code you can scan if you have a smartphone that you can scan that with, and you can have access to the Google Doc. Basically, these are keywords that you really want to work with on your Google ad campaign. I'll just throw this out there from what we're seeing across the country. 80 to 90% of people are still searching for auto body repairs, and around 10 to 20% is searching for collision repairs. So typically, you're going to have better luck with whether it's your local search optimization or Google Ads. You're going to see more leads coming in through the auto body searches. All right, let's go into this next slide where I've got the QR code. So go ahead, feel free to scan that. Basically, that's going to take you to a simple Google Doc, and just feel free to make a copy of it, and you can use that to help guide your keyword setup in Google Ads. I don't know if I left that up long enough, but I hope everybody got a chance to shoot a picture of that if they like. Let's talk a little bit about why most Google ad campaigns fail. I just have a few reasons why. So there's a failure to understand the Google Ads auction process and also the complexity of the industry that we're working in. Our industry better than most people. You've been in this industry for years, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I have no idea how long you guys have been in this industry, but a long time. You realize how complex it is. And also you understand some of the journey that a customer goes down when they're needing your services. So failure to understand that and the Google Ads platform. Also, another common failure is to set up only one ad group. And we're going to talk about the structure in a little bit more. So if you only set up one ad group for all your services, let's say it's auto body, collision repair, insurance claims, paintless dent repair, ADOS, glass replacement, whatever your services that your shop primarily focuses on, don't just set it up in one ad group. We'll talk about a little bit more about that later. Another one is not using specific text ads, and also not using a custom landing page for the ads. So what you'll often see happening is you'll see Google Ads, but they're pushing people right into a fairly complex website where there's lots of different calls to action. The customer doesn't know, or the prospective customer doesn't know what they should be clicking on to get to your services. You want to have just a simple landing page that they can go to where there's basically one call to action, whether that's scheduling an estimate, calling you, whatever it is. Also, fourthly, no strong call to action. All right, there we go. I went and jumped to that one without even trying it. So you need to have a strong call to action on that landing page. Make it simple, keep it dumb, so they know exactly what to do next. There's not a lot of pages where they need to click through and try to figure out what's going on. It's just boom, call me. Or if you guys use like Body Shop Booster or CarWise, get your estimate 24/7, something like that. Another big reason that Google Ads fail is not tracking the conversions. And we're going to spend some time talking more about that later. All right. Do you have any questions so far? Anything that you take away that's, oh, wow, yes, we need to be focusing on this? I'll just give you a moment. If you have any questions, you want to throw them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free.
I think one of the biggest things for us would be the not tracking specifically the conversions.
Yes. And I'm sorry, I can't see. I don't know who was talking there, but
that was Rusty.
Okay. Excellent, Rusty. That's a big one. That is definitely a big one, is not tracking those conversions. And it's hard to track conversions. I'm not going to lie. All right. Let's keep moving on then. Why is this not cooperating? There we are. Okay. We're going to dive into, I'm just going to say right away, we could spend hours here. So I'm just barely scratching the surface. I'm just going to give you some really high level. If you want to dive deep into this, I would love to say that I have some YouTube trainings that you could go watch, but I can't say that. I don't have those. I could probably, if you were interested, I'm sure I could hook you up with some other trainings though, if you wanted to dive into this and spend hours getting training on it. So this is going to scratch the surface. All right, let's go. Conversion tracking is a must. All right. I'm going to nail that one home again. Conversion tracking is a must. You got to nail that one. You have to also break down your campaign into smaller ad groups, because you want to make sure you're targeting those different services separately. then you can start tracking which ads are doing the best, which campaigns are doing the best. Also, make sure you have a strong understanding of the keyword match types, and don't forget about negative keywords. I think we're going to talk more about this later, but in case I don't, definitely make sure you're always setting up your negative keywords, whether it's at an ad account level or at a campaign level. There's a couple different places you can do this. So something like, let's say somebody searches cheapest auto body shop near me. You think you want to waste $5 to $10 for somebody to click on your ad when they search cheapest auto body shop near me? 100% you don't. So go into your negative keywords and set up those negative keywords that I should have a list for you. I think I might have a few down the line here on a slide, but things like cheapest auto body repair near me. And of course, I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember any others. The cheapest part is all I can think of right now. Next point I have is you need to write compelling text ads that resonate with what the customer typed. And then, of course, you want to entice them to click on you versus on the competition. Remember the illustration I showed earlier where there was 3. I think there might even been more. That's all I could get onto my phone screen was 3. Those are all sponsored. How am I going to know which one to click? Leverage ad extensions to make sure that your ad stands out on the page. If you look over here on the graphic on the right, you'll see what they did is they set up ad extensions. So look how much real estate they were able to take up. They have the primary ad, which isn't very big. They could have probably used some better ad copy there. But these extensions, get an estimate, auto body repair, view our services, wheel repair, interior repair, those are all ad extensions. So make sure you're leveraging them to take up as much real estate as you can. So the person, that's all they see when they land there. You have to land visitors on solid, thought out landing pages that are built to convert. And I think I talked about that one before, ongoing testing, tweaking, and fine tuning. So don't just set it and forget it. And definitely don't wait for a Google advisor to call you and tell you that you need to spend more money. That's a mistake right there. All right, talking a little bit about ad structure. This is how a typical ad campaign is set up. So you have the campaign level, and then underneath that, you have the ad groups. And then below that, you have the ads. So let's say we wanted to run a campaign and we would set up 4 different ad groups. I have a brand campaign. So let's say you're just trying to push your brand in your city. Then we would have an auto body repair campaign. We would have a collision repair services campaign, a paintless dent repair campaign. Now, I'm probably using the wrong word there. I apologize. I should have been saying ad groups. Actually, you could structure this a couple ways. You could have this as your ad groups or your campaigns, and then break it out into all the bullet points below as your ad groups. And then inside of each of those bullet points, you would have, let's say, 5 or so different ads with different ad copy that Google can pick from to see which ones to optimize the most. I think I have a visual of this. Yes, I do. So this is inside of a Google ad account. As you can see here on the left-hand side, we've got the campaigns. And then inside of that, you can select your different campaigns. And then you have your odd ad groups inside of that campaign. And then in the ad groups, you have all of the different ads. And I could not get them all on this screenshot, but you have your different ads there in that inside that ad group. So make sure you're breaking those out into your different services. All right. Don't even think about spending another penny till you have conversion tracking in place. So true. You have to have conversion in place, tracking in place. Let's talk a little bit more about it. So, do you have dynamic number swapping set up for different phone numbers for your Google Ads versus your organic or direct traffic? That definitely has to be in place. Do you have a tracked phone number for Google Ads on your Google business profile? Are you tracking the web forms that are getting filled out for your Google ad campaign? And if you're using something like Body Shop Booster or CarWise, make sure you're setting up custom codes for those tools that are getting put onto the landing page, so then you can track those as well. So make sure you've got that tracking set up, so you can obviously then determine which ad groups are doing best. And those are the ones to put the most money after then. Here's a couple illustrations. Is your landing page crafted to convert? Do you have clear calls to action? So if your primary call to action is you want them to call, keep that button at the top of the page no matter where they are on your landing page. If your primary call to action is wanting them to get your free estimate, well, then do that as well. Or maybe you could have that as a secondary call to action. Here is a screenshot. So if you are not tracking your Google Ads coming in from your Google business profile, here's a way you can do it. And I actually took a screenshot inside of a client's Google business profile with all 3 steps that you need to do this. You go into the Google business profile, you click on the little 3 dots, that takes you into that opens up a screen. You want to click on advanced settings. Advanced settings opens up this page right here. You scroll down to basically the bottom of it, and there you can add a Google Ads phone number. Now you might be thinking, oh shoot, where in the world am I going to get this phone number from? And I believe probably a good option for you if you're not using some type of marketing agency is something like a company, like a business like CallRail. I believe you can buy phone numbers there. If you're working with an online marketing agency, they should be able to supply you with tracked phone numbers that go in there. They should be doing this for you actually, but they should be able to supply you with some tracked phone numbers. So then all those calls can be tracked and recorded for quality. Here again, just driving home the fact, is everything tracked? So when they click on the call button on your landing page, and it looks like I use Committed Collisions landing page as an example again, does it take them to a tracked phone number? And this phone number should be different than the one on your Google business profile, because then you can tell exactly where that phone call came from. Did it come from the landing page or from the Google business profile? And here again, are we tracking where the leads are coming from? So if you have an estimate form on your website and one on your landing page, be sure that you're using 2 different forms. Then you can track, okay, so these leads came in from our website and these leads came in from our Google Ad Campaigns landing page. And here again, I'm not going to dive deep into this one. We could spend hours here on this one. This is inside of the actual Google Ad platform. Be sure you are setting up your conversions and what your goals are for the ad campaign. And that is, it looks like it's inside a summary. You can set those up, and I couldn't take a big screenshot of that either. All right, here is an example of some negative keywords on a client's Google Ad campaign. It looks like we've got things like affordable car body repair, best rates. These are things that you really probably don't want to be wasting any of your ad dollars on. Cheap auto body paint, cheap collision repair, auto body repair online courses, auto body repair complaints. So those are keywords that you want to be making sure you're setting up, like I said, either at an account level or at a campaign level. You can do it either way inside of the Google Ad platform. Here's a screenshot. I just wanted to emphasize, make sure that everything's optimized for mobile. And here again, this is a client campaign that's running. What I want you to see here is look at how much of the engagement is coming from mobile. Almost 100% across the board is coming from mobile. So make sure that everything on the campaign is optimized for that. Mobile is where it's at nowadays. So that's a big portion of making sure you're dialed in. Here's another little trick that I think a lot of times gets forgotten, especially if you're on a limited ad budget. Make sure that your ads are only running when you're open. And Google, they won't necessarily make this easy for you to find this, because they would like you to have your ads running all the time and spending as much money as possible. You can go in and schedule your ads for what day of the week you want them to run on, the times you want them to run. So in this instance, it's Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. Now, I will throw out a little bit of there might be some exceptions to this. let's say you're running just like a brand campaign. You're just trying to get your brand out there in the city. Or let's say you leverage something like Body Shop Booster, CarWise, where the people can start engaging. They can take a picture, they can take some pictures, get a bit of an estimate so you can capture the lead. Then potentially there's some wisdom in running your ads through the evening because that's most likely when people will be using them. That might be an exception to the rule, but I would say typically, especially if you're on on a tighter budget, make sure you're just running these ads when you're actually there at the shop. You can make sure you can answer the phone, you can close the lead as quickly as possible. We use the words, and this is a sales term, it's speed to lead. The person that's the fastest to get back to the lead is going to be the one that wins the deal typically. So speed to lead, make sure you're there, make sure your CSRs, whoever's answering the phones, are trained and doing their job to capture those leads because you're spending a lot of money to get those leads. That's a whole nother subject. I'm not a sales trainer, but you want to make sure that's dialed in as well when you're running campaigns like this. All right, let's move on to the next slide. All right, here's just a little bit about some of the KPIs you should be tracking. So of course, I'm sure all of you are monitoring your total spend. So maybe it's $500, maybe it's $3,000, maybe it's $20,000 that you're spending every month on Google Ads. Then you obviously want to be watching your cost per click. So every time somebody clicks on your ad, how much is it costing you? And then your average cost per lead. So there you can start tracking, is this costing me? You're probably not going to see anything under $20 per lead, probably more like $40 per lead typically. And depending how competitive the market is, maybe you'll see it the whole way up to $100 per lead. So make sure you're tracking that. Very important to running a successful campaign. And then you can start watching your return on investment. And the way you can best do this is when you're tracking all the leads coming in, their phone numbers, whatever information you're grabbing from them, typically it's phone numbers through the tracked phone numbers that you're using. Grab the phone numbers and then you can tie that together with CCC data or whatever data you use for the actual jobs that you're selling. You can start tying that together and say, hey, we spent $5,000 on Google Ads last month or in the last quarter. We generated $100,000 worth of work from those Google Ads campaigns. Then you can start seeing what your return on investment is when you're tracking the leads through to the actual revenue generated. So I guess the $1 million question is, do Google Ads drive calls? Yes, they drive calls. Do they always work? No. You will get tire kickers. You will get bad leads. You will get people calling you looking for a mechanic shop. Are they the only piece to the puzzle when it comes to a successful online marketing strategy? Absolutely not. But they are a good tool if they're managed correctly to help drive leads to your shop 100%. All right, I'm just about done. I've kept you for about half an hour. What did you learn? Anything you want to shout out? Anything that you would like to share? Feel free to unmute yourself. And if you don't, that's okay too. I hope you learned something from it.
Indeed.
I did too. I like that you used the negative words because I didn't think about that at all in my ads.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll second that as well. That's one I never hadn't thought of.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, absolutely. Go in. I would say if you're running like a Google ad account and there's keywords like that cheap auto body repair, that one should be in an account level. So no matter what campaigns you run, it is always firing in the background that you're not wasting any ad dollars on that. Now, you can set it up at a campaign level, but like I said, if you have an account that you're managing, go in and set up those main ones that you know you never want to rank for on that Google account, that ad account. All right. I think I have a couple more slides if I can get my, there we go. If you feel overwhelmed and need help, if this wasn't enough, feel free to, I have a little QR code there. You can scan that and schedule some time with me. I'd be happy to talk one-on-one about what might be best for your shop. and just brainstorm with you around that. So if you're just feeling, man, this is overwhelming, I think this is a good idea, but I don't know where to start, jump in there, schedule some time with me, and more than happy to dig into it of how it could help you and strategize together.
You know, our work business friend, which him and I have had that conversation.
I see a couple of you are interested in the book. If you could, Stephanie and Roy, if you want to drop me your address either here inside of the chat, or if you want to just text message me, that's fine too, because if I don't have your address, I'm going to have a hard time sending it to you. So I'm more than happy to send you a book. Just please send me your address. You can text message the phone number that I've been sending you messages from, or you can email it to me and I'll make sure you get a book. I'll try to send that off here in the next week or so. Alrighty, guys, that's everything I have. I appreciate you all showing up here for this. Hope you got a ton of value. And if you have any further questions, I'll give you like 1 minute. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this show down.
Daniel, thank you again for all your time.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely, Tim. My pleasure. Alrighty, guys, I appreciate you all, and we will catch up with you on another webinar. Take care.